Okay, this next unit is about photographic abstraction. And photographic abstraction is the idea that you are photographing things that are real, but you are abstracting them to the point where you almost can't tell where the actual object is inside of the picture. So this is a field of study that I'm not too familiar with because I have not shot much abstract photography, but I thought it would be fun because a lot of my students were really interested in the subject. So let's take a look at some examples or some historic ideas behind the idea of abstraction. So just to let you know, there's something called rayograph or photogram. And this is one of the first times where abstraction was actually, people became interested in abstraction. And the idea with a photogram is that you don't need a camera anymore. You just need light sensitive paper. And so you could place objects on this yellow light sensitive paper, and then you expose it to light and it ends up looking like this. You put it into water, and then eventually it ends up looking like this. This is a cyanotype. And that is taking a real object and abstracting it to just its basic shapes. So taking something that's real and then bringing it down to its basic shapes. The rayograph was defined by a man named Man Ray. But the generic word for this process right here is called photogram. So rayograph is because his name is Man Ray. And so here's some examples, as you can see up here, of Man Ray's work. And he worked closely with other photographers back in like around 1922. So as you can imagine, photography up until this point was all about realism. Like finally, we don't need to paint a picture. We can actually use the camera to show reality, right? And then people started to take hold of the camera and think of it as a way to do some artistic interpretations alongside with it. So let's look at some more experiments here. You can see Man Ray used a coiled up piece of paper on its side to just create these lines and shapes and shadows in his work. So for this unit, you're going to be experimenting with different objects and seeing if you can abstract them as much as possible. Just wanted to let you know there is a photography website called the Abstract Photography Movement website, which that link will pull it up. And it will give you a list of photographers, historical photographers over here, who might have some examples of abstract photography. It will give you a summary of it and some key ideas and who's responsible for it. And also if you click over here, you can see some quick examples. So that might be somewhere where you can get some ideas on more abstract photography. This work is by a Japanese American named Hiroshi Sugimoto. And the reason I really like these is because this is an abstract landscape. So you can see that this really, really hazy landscape or seascape here, where you can barely even see the horizon line. One way that you can do some landscapes is to slightly put your work out of focus, and it would create the same idea. And here's some more work. You could use something as simple as maybe the veins of a cabbage leaf and shine some light through it. And so then it becomes about the veins rather than about the actual cabbage leaf. So taking something real and abstracting it to the point where you almost can't tell what it is anymore. So I have some more examples on my Google Classroom. Here are two photographers who have a quick little video you can watch right here. Arturo Herrera and Barbara Caston. So take some time and watch those two videos as well. They're from the Art 21 series. And over here I have some more examples on some abstract projects that perhaps you could maybe try. So let's take a look together on what kind of abstractions you could possibly do at home. Okay. So just a little bit of background information. One of the most popular abstract painters was Wesley Kandinsky. And his idea was to bring down painting to just color and shape based on a musical experience that he was having. So he used to be able to listen to music and see shapes and colors. And so this might actually be a landscape, but he has actually abstracted it to the point where you can almost no longer tell that it's originally a landscape, but it's based off of something real, but it's been abstracted to the point where you can't see it. So this is based on a musical composition. So it's based on something real, but then it's bringing it down to its basic elements. So something like oil and water be something really easy for you to do. Placing a image or a pattern or something on the table, and then getting a piece of glass like a frame with an empty, with no picture inside of it, and putting oil or water on top of it, and then seeing what kind of formations you get, and then you can hold it higher or lower above the colored image below, so that you can put things more in or out of focus as you want. You could do some light drawing to create some abstract shapes. We learned this in the first semester. You could do night photography, like an uptown normal, and then put your camera slightly out of focus, and it will make these shapes for the lights that you see. You could do this with LED lights at home as well too, or Christmas lights that you have. You could use smoke shapes if you wanted to. You could actually slow down your shutter speed and try to do some landscape photography. So if you go when it's darker out, or like twilight out, and then have a slower shutter speed and you get some camera shake, it'd be really neat too. So those are just some ideas. It might be a good idea for you to also search online to see other examples before you get started. For this assignment, you're going to do 4 images. You do not need to caption them. You do not need to do an explanation. The whole idea is that we look at it and we don't really necessarily know how you did it. And then we can investigate and try to figure it out together. So 4 images for this project. Good luck and have fun with it.